interesting that the area around one of the most precious places in Jerusalem is not pretty. It's not quiet, it's not peaceful, it's not pretty. It's an Arab bus station. If you just look up there a moment, regardless of the Arabic writing, and that's there because it's an Arabic graveyard, the top of this cliff side here, the top of this hill that you can see on here, is in fact the top of Mount Moriah. The top of Mount Moriah. Have you been on the Temple Mount? Yeah? That is the bottom of Mount Moriah. And at one time you would have been able to walk all the way down, through the sky, all the way down, into Old City, and take your place at the bottom of Mount Moriah. Come on, have a sit down. Okay, but there's a very special reason why this space here has been opened up. It's deliberate. And the person responsible for that wasn't an earthquake. An earthquake brought that down, but a long time after this area was quarried. This area here is known as Solomon's Quarries. And in the 10th century before Jesus, King Solomon ordered that this whole area be quarried and cleared away, not for the sake of forming two cliff sides or a wide open space here, but to take stone and rock from this place to form the foundation of the first temple. And somewhere behind that western wall, that Wailing Wall, is all this rock and stone. They moved it, which created an artificial space. But nothing's ever been here, nothing's ever lived here. It's never been an area that you can say Mir Shalim, or West Jerusalem, or Mamillah, Ramen Mosh, because no one's ever been here. And there's a very, very particular, there's a sequence of reasons for that. You can see evidence of quarrying under the walls. And those walls, even though they're from the time of the Ottoman Empire, follow the line of Herod's walls, which means that this is the furthest north that Jerusalem ever came. So you are now sitting in a place that has always been outside the city walls. We've ticked a box here, outside the city walls.
General Charles Gordon, quite famous in English history.
There's an American connection with the finding of the garden too. General Gordon, a Victorian British general, Christian, was staying with an American missionary family, the Spaffords, who formed the American colony, reading the scriptures on the top of their home, just inside the walls around the Damascus Gate. He saw the face of a skull, which you can see clearly on this photograph. And this dates from around the time that General Gordon was taking an interest in this area. Okay, the face of a skull. And he wondered whether or not this place, not the other place, might be associated with the death of Jesus. But being a Bible student, he made a few connections. If this could be the place, there would be other treasures here. Because of the place where they crucified him, there was a garden. And in that garden there was a tomb in which nobody had yet been laid. And this was a catalyst. And he got a German archaeologist, Conrad Schick, to have a look at the site. And they found evidence of a tomb. So they bought it. They had a campaign in the London Times, an appeal, and British Christians donated the money to buy this whole site. How much did it cost? Just as a bit of mental arithmetic, just think in your head how much it's cost you to come here. Don't tell me. To purchase this whole site in 1894 cost the equivalent of 3,000 American dollars.
Excuse me.
Get out of here. 2,000 pounds sterling in 1894 bought this site from that corner all the way across to the gate you came in. Then again, King David, when he bought the threshing floor of Araunah on Moriah, paid 50 shekels. What's that in US dollars? And that's where the Dome of the Rock is. That's a good day's work, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was on that site that Abraham was charged to sacrifice his son, his only son Isaac. Moriah had been a place of obedience to God. Obedience to God. And on the bottom end of Moriah we think of the sacrifice of Abraham. And here, because at the face of the skull, we think of the sacrifice of Jesus. Let me give you two instances that help us understand that this could be such a place. First, in the Ottoman Empire in the 1400s, the Jews had been expelled during the Crusades, and the Ottomans, Suleiman the Magnificent, invited them back to repopulate the land. And the ones that came from Spain, the Sephardic Jews, they'd rewritten their history whilst they were away. And they came back with the history, the tale, that this area here that had never been lived in was a dumping ground, a refuse tip. But it was also the place where the Jews, under the provision of their own law, could execute their own people. Not inside the city, for the sake of defiling the holy place. Can you tell me how you think the Jews used to execute their own people? Bless you. They would stone them. Oh, and it's a quarry. What will a quarry have lots of?
Stone.
But the first part of the execution night was that a person was taken to the top of the top of a cliffside and thrown over. Can you think of a cliffside that overlooks Jerusalem anywhere but here? You go around the corner, you begin to go down the Kidron Valley, and you're in the Mount of Olives. You go around the top side, past Newgate. Everywhere else, Jerusalem falls away into valleys, except here. And when the person has been thrown off the cliff, the family who've been aggrieved, whose property has been despoiled, perhaps a family member murdered or mugged, will be invited to pick up rocks and stone the person, not because they're cruel, because execution in those days was public. And people were able to partake of it, so that you could have retribution and, in the act of stoning, cast a curse upon the person who'd harmed you. And they would leave the bodies here. There was no dignity in the death of a criminal. And when this area was excavated before the bus station, bones were found amongst the rock formations. This was a place of execution in Jewish law. But secondly, when the Romans came, they would also execute their people outside of the city walls, again out of deference to the Jewish population. But what you have here is a busy place. There's a reason why there's a bus station here, because the road connections are good. You turn the corner and you're on the Jericho Road, a road that goes east to the oldest city in the world, which takes the main road, which we know as the King's Highway, which goes to the Dead Sea and then into Galilee. And if you go 100 metres that way, you pick up the Great North Road, which goes as far as Nablus, Neapolis, through to Lebanon, and then to Syria. But it also has those roads that shoot off to the three major ports, Haifa, Joppa, and Accra. Joppa last night. Only 25 minutes drive. And it was by those roadsides that the Romans would crucify their victims. Not high up on a hillside, but literally where the roads crossed, so you would have to pass them by when you went for your bread, and when you went for your kids, and when you went to synagogue, and when you went to work. You could not avoid passing by the crucified, because the Romans wanted you to see those faces, those tortured individuals, and be afraid. That if you, sir, had any thought in your heart or in your head to be subversive to the Roman state, you would know what's coming. Yeah? And you might think twice. You might think twice. That was, punishment was public because it was a deterrent. Somewhere in this place, a place known as the Skull, Golgotha, Calvary, we believe Jesus was crucified outside the city walls. But close to the place where they crucified him, there was a garden. John chapter 19, verse 41. Okay, we need to move fairly swiftly. You can see the reason why. Please do take your photographs, and I shall wait for you down there. As quick as you can. There it is.
Excuse me.
Take that picture
Excuse me.
Oh, thank you. It's warm.
Well,
You are mine.
okay.
Eyes, nose.
Okay.
Taking it so I can move out of the way. Maybe to someone
Go,
take,
go, child.
we'll take one together.
Go, child.
Não tem problema.
Go, child.
Nós não vamos ficar aqui, nós só vamos tirar foto. Você já falou o que tinha que falar.
Can you take me?
Yes.
Are we having that in Arabic?